You know, I spoke a little bit earlier about what led me to become involved in the cannabis industry, but I did have a life pre-cannabis, and I was in distribution. So I was in distribution for over 18 years, and much like Tony Gallo, what I was able to recognize in the cannabis industry was how I could use my expertise of what I was involved in prior to getting involved in cannabis here. So tell you a little story. I started out in the 90s, right after deregulation with telecom, and we created prepaid phone cards. Many of you probably are familiar with them. In the 90s, they were new. They weren't new for domestic calling, but they were new for Hispanics and to call internationally. And we really didn't know what that product would do. So we put that out in the marketplace, and it grew, and we built distribution around it. The point of my story is that really any product that's developed or put into the marketplace, there's a big puzzle, and one of the pieces is distribution. Whether your product is cannabis, which we all know has a product market fit, so never before has there ever been a new product that has been introduced, except for after Prohibition, that people knew what it would do. So I like to tell people that treat cannabis just like Tony was saying in your retail location, like any other consumable product. So the same way that products that are manufactured from vendors in other industries need to make their way into consumers' hands and make their way onto consumers' shelves, the same holds true for cannabis. With that, there's a lot of rules, regulations, and different things that are applied to this industry. There's many different products as well that are out there that are being developed. Now, Amendment 2 allows for MMTC centers and licenses that have not totally been defined, but if you look at the intent of the amendment, it may include licenses for processors, cultivators, retail locations, as well as distribution. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's happening in California. Many of you may be familiar with it, but Prop 64, which was just introduced, has 4 different types of licenses that can be issued. One of which is cultivator. The other one, processor and distribution and retail. They've made rules that cultivator will not have a distribution license, but a processor can have a distribution license. We don't know what's going to happen with distribution in Florida, but we need to think about that. We need to think about how are products not only going to be developed, whether they're through processors or the cultivators, and really get into the hands of our consumers. Marketing goes hand in hand with distribution, we know that. So we have grassroots marketing, building of brands. Pete just spoke about building of logos and the different things that you may need. But let's talk about the products that may need to go into distribution. Anybody in this room familiar with the bong ban? Bong ban in Florida? Okay, so we're going to talk about 3 different items: flour, concentrates or edibles as well, consumed processed products, and then also the accessories. These are everything from glassware to vaporizers, to basically anything that you would use to consume cannabis or administer it. So there's also some language in Amendment 2, I don't know if you may have looked at it, that may require products that are used to administer it to be licensed as well. So with that, let's think about how we're going to cultivate or build a business around that. So the products that are being developed, they're being developed from multiple different vendors, and they're being sold to independent retailers. This is a lot like my background. When we started selling prepaid calling cards, we were selling them to independent convenience stores, bodegas, grocery stores, places of that nature. So it's very familiar to me. So when I got involved as an investor, I started looking at a lot of great new products that were being developed. And one of the common threads that I found was distribution. Many of these companies had problems with getting their products distributed. We also have a whole nother line of items that are being developed, like CBD items. And I'm going to talk real quick about the pitfalls or the roadblocks that are being set up. So most of them are consistent with delivery and collection of funds for the sale of those products. Also with the independent locations being able to order from all of these independent vendors. So I know, Carlo, I'm not going to give you a big description of what we did with the Gluu, but to make it simple, what we did was we helped each one of these individual vendors connect through a universal ordering platform, much like what Amazon does for the home consumer. And we created a way for independent smoke shops and stores to order their accessory products. I anticipate as the cannabis industry grows, there's rules and regulations that are being put in place for seed to sale. Many of you may have heard of BioTrack THC or MJ Freeway as being different methods to track product from actually the seed to the sale. But we're also going to need to develop ways for independent retailers to order products as well and have those delivered and have those tracked. So with that, I'd like to open it up to questions. I know I got cut short. My presentation was a little bit longer, but I'd like to answer any of your questions that you may have at this time. So the question was, is there regulation on software that is required to be used in certain states? And certain states have, so I know BioTrack THC has a government affairs division, which works closely with state governments to get their software to be approved. So it's a lot of the distribution software needs to give access, just like Tony was referring to the security systems, to the government to be able to come in and see. So there are certain arrangements that are being made by software companies and state governments. As of right now, there is none that have been set forth in the state of Florida.
Any more questions for Tom?
Cheryl.
Thank you, Tom, for everything today, but especially for your last discussion. Can you walk us through the process for an inventor or a vendor to get their merchandise in a distribution network such as the Gluu? And also on the other end, if someone were interested in being like a sub-retailer, how would they go about doing that?
Thank you, great question. Well, our system is very easy. We have a supplier application on the site. We connect vendors through there. They're able to access our system through a vendor access, much like what Etsy does for products, and they're able to upload or have those products uploaded, and then they're made available to the multiple different retailers that have signed up with us. When we sign up the retailers for the accessory products, those are the picks and shovels that we referred to, and that's all that we're selling through the Gluu right now. We have a representative go out and collect the resale certificate, because we're doing all goods for resale. And in the state of Florida, if you're selling products to a retail location that is selling to the end consumer, you need to collect a resale certificate. Otherwise, you as the vendor are responsible for the sales tax that should have been collected by that retailer. So we have that in place as well. So it's very simple to get on our platform. You could go to our website and look at the supplier. Right now, we don't touch any products that are actually THC. We have plans, and we're actually building the same platform that we have right now for companies in California that have or are applying for the processor and distribution license as a self-management tool.
Any more questions? Huh?
Well, like Tony said before, and like Pete as well, many of you are new to this industry. One of the things that I always recommend to people is there's going to be a lot of sexy opportunities that are going to come your way. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to look like they're great. When I first got involved, I was pulled many different directions. What I did was I went back to what I knew, which was distribution, and that's why we're doing what we do. So if you have a field of expertise that you've been involved in for some period of time, or you have some kind of skill set that you feel that you can apply to this industry, I recommend that you find a way to apply that to what's going on right now. This way you can shorten your learning curve of what's going on. But that's what I'm doing. That's what I've found many of the other successful entrepreneurs that are out there are doing. And if there's one piece of advice that I could give is you don't know what you don't know. And so if you're getting involved in a piece of the industry that is foreign to you, at least research it, get out there, find people, ask questions, find the right people. In this room, there's good people, and there's good resources, and there's some very well-informed people, but at the same time, there's a lot of misinformation out there. So when you find somebody that seems like they know what they're talking about, verify, but trust, but verify. Thank you so much.